Hi everyone, and welcome back. If you're new here, thank you for joining. My name is Elony'a. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and I'm also a certified master Reiki practitioner and teacher. And within the last few years, I started my very own holistic practice called DivineMindsCCHt, where I help others to reconnect with themselves. Now today, I want to talk about something a little bit different, and this is healing and what it really means to heal yourself. So let's get started. Now, when we get on social media, you see a whole bunch of posts, videos, reels about people talking about healing themselves or healing from something, a person, a place, a traumatic situation, a trigger. And you usually hear these people say that they are fully healed, or they've fully healed themselves from whatever the situation, the person, the relationship may be. And this is exactly where I want to focus in. Now, others may feel differently about this topic, but I truly do not believe that there is such thing as being fully healed from something, from anything, or just being a fully healed person.
What?
Now, through my own work as a Reiki practitioner or a hypnotherapist, even as a cognitive therapist, and my own personal experiences observing others or even myself, I've noticed that healing is really a lifelong journey or process. And it's not a one-stop destination where finally we reach this level where we're fully healed the way people are suggesting. And just to clarify, here's an example where a lot of us carry wounds from childhood, from early childhood experiences, whether that may be something like abandonment, rejection, wounds of this sort from relationships that we've experienced with parents, with partners, with friends, just with people in general who we may have once looked up to. And after experiencing these traumatic experiences and situations or people, you may not even notice that this wound sticks with you. Whether that be consciously or unconsciously, we still react from a place within ourselves where this wound still lives within our everyday experiences or relationships with others when this wound is triggered or reactivated. And say we go to some sort of therapy, whether that's talk therapy, somatic therapy, or we're doing shadow work on our own to start working on this wound. You're never going to find a therapist or professional who's going to tell you that you're going to come out of this healing journey, this situation, fully healed. And that's because, like I said earlier, it really is a lifelong process of basically managing these wounds or taking the control back where we may have once lost it to our triggers, to this traumatic situation or experiences, whatever it may be, because it's probably going to be different for everyone, even if it's the same kind of wounding. Now, through these healing practices or therapies or shadow work, the job is ultimately to accept the wounding that you have and where it's stemming from, the root of it, and understanding on an even deeper level how we feel triggered, the responses to this wound. Maybe that's the emotions, the way we outwardly react or inwardly react whenever this wound is reactivated. And even if you don't like the word choice, accepting the wound, it's more so acknowledging that the wound is there, instead of avoiding it or just never taking a sort of accountability for it. Even if you didn't create the wound initially, it's there, it's yours. So you have to, in a sense, take accountability and acknowledge that it is there. And even if it's from a long time ago, it's still a part of you, basically. It kind of builds itself into your personality and who you are now, today, because it is still there. And we still usually react or respond from this wound or this past trigger. So like I was saying, acknowledging the wound and then trying to understand the roots of how and when this wound started and how today it's still maybe triggered within us. whether that's through our emotional responses when we are feeling triggered, or this wound, this traumatic situation, this traumatic feeling is reactivated within us, within our nervous system, because it is a part of us. It's a part of our makeup now, basically. It's part of our personality because it is there, and it's likely been there for a very long time, even if we don't like it. So the goal is not to forget about this wound or to avoid it, or even to overcome it in a way that's constantly pushed on us on social media where we are fully healed, because ultimately that is not the end destination for this. We want to overcome the wounding, but not as if we're fully healed, because that just doesn't exist. So yes, we want to take control again over this wound in a way where it's not constantly controlling us, but we are in control of how we respond or how we react whenever we feel this wound or this trauma being reactivated or triggered within us. But like I said, I don't think the way it's being projected onto us on social media, that we're not necessarily overcoming it the way that it's being suggested, because this wound doesn't just disappear forever. Like, there's no overcoming it in a way where these triggers and these responses just disappear forever. Instead, the way I view healing is that the wound is still there, and it likely will still be there forever, but we've reached a level of acceptance or acknowledgement and understanding of this wound or this trauma that we've endured and that we've been carrying for so long, that ultimately lives within us, whether that's within our mind, in our memories, in our body. It's a part of us. It's become a part of us and how we respond, react. But once we're going through this healing journey, this healing process that never really ends, it's continuously taking the control back from this wound or from this traumatic scenario or situation that's been choosing or making us respond a specific way, both inwardly and outwardly towards others. So instead, when this wound is activated or remembered, we take that control back and we choose how we want to respond, even when we're feeling triggered. Now, that is how I view healing, instead of letting the trauma or the trigger control us, where we just respond the same exact way every single time out of emotion, whether that be shame, anger, disappointment, grief, and both inward and outward, where we're viewing ourselves a certain way and we're feeling shameful, angry, sad, or we're treating others that way because maybe they're being the mirror for us and they're triggering us. So we're reacting harshly towards them, even if they didn't intentionally trigger us, you know? So healing to me is choosing a new way of feeling, thinking, and responding to our reality, both inward and outward, once we feel triggered. So we're reacting differently to others and towards ourselves whenever this stimuli is ultimately making us feel something that we don't want to feel, or that's something that we remember from our past that wasn't really a good experience. So healing to me is knowing that although this is a part of me and this is a part of my past, and maybe it's still there within me, it still lives within me, I'm not allowing it to take over or overshadow me or to ruin my perspective on myself, on life, on others, relationships, or just places and memories as a whole. I'm not allowing it to overshadow and take over in a negative sense, but instead I'm shifting the narrative. I'm shifting the perspective to something that fits my new reality, fits who I'm trying to be, a more positive, a more optimistic or hopeful person. That to me is what healing is, taking the control back. And if we're looking at the beginning, when we first experience these traumas or these wounds that have been causing these innate responses within us, whether that be fear, grief, anger, or even just avoidance overall, where we try to avoid experiencing this same or similar things, whether that's emotions, people, places, relationships. We're just trying to avoid it overall so we don't have to feel these emotions or we don't have to remember what we went through before. That may be natural in the beginning. It's fresh, basically. We still have not reached that level where we're ready and we're willing to heal, because ultimately it is a choice. And in the beginning, we don't always have the resources, both internally and externally, to navigate how we're feeling. So maybe we're avoiding it altogether, or we're sitting in those feelings for way too long, because ultimately we do want to still experience those emotions, even if they're negative, even if we don't like them. That's a whole different topic. But what I'm saying is we still have to feel the emotions, but we don't want to sit in them forever, where it shifts our reality and our perspective in a negative way, where it's shaping the way we think and feel about something forever. But eventually we have this realization that we are sick of it. We're fed up. And maybe we're feeling angry that this even happened to us. That's natural. But we're also maybe feeling angry at ourselves for continuously allowing whatever happened to us to control us, to shape our narrative, our perspective on ourselves, on life as a whole, to continuously keep reacting to people, places, and things in this same way that's still bringing that trigger, that trauma back to life. You know what I mean? We've reached that level where we're sick of ourselves, we're sick of it, we're angry, we're sad, we're ready to move on. We don't want to keep reacting in these harsh ways towards ourselves, towards others, towards certain places or things that bring back that trauma. I don't want to feel like this anymore. That's what I'm talking about. So we reach that level, and this is all a part of the healing process. And then reaching this middle ground where we're sick of it, we're fed up, and we're ready to make a change. We may not know what that change is. We don't know how to get there, but we've stepped into this new phase, this new level where we are ready to make a change no matter what. And that could be so many different things, whether that's therapy, shadow work, journaling, exposure therapy, whatever it may be for you. It's going to be different for everybody, but ultimately getting to the root of what's causing us to still be reacting this way in our current reality, no matter how long ago we experienced this wounding. But with time and with practice, you'll start to notice that your reactions are shifting into something different, whether that's turning a reaction into a response. And I do think there is a difference between a reaction where it's faster, it's quicker, we're not thinking, we're just reacting, like it's just coming out of us, versus taking our time to think, to slow down, and to create a response. That's different. That's change. That's leaning more towards choice, because we all have choice in how we feel and how we respond. Reaching this level, it's happening because we're becoming more aware of what's happening inside of us, of how we're feeling, and we're finding ways to self-regulate. So we're not looking for those external ways, people, things to regulate us, whether that's smoking, whether that's needing reassurance from others, whatever it may be. We are not distracting from what we're feeling, but we're finding ways within us to regulate ourselves. That could be breathing, that could be affirmations, that could be slowing down, taking a few minutes to step away from whatever the situation is that's bothering you, and then coming back. Self-regulation. And like I said earlier, it is a conscious choice to reach this next level, this middle ground of this continuous process of healing where we're choosing to take care of ourselves, to put ourselves first, to understand ourselves, to accept ourselves for who we are, what we've done, what we've felt, what we've gone through, taking acknowledgement of everything that has gotten us to where we are now, where we were once exposing these parts of ourselves that maybe we feel ashamed of, but we're now accepting them. We're loving them regardless, because at one point that's what helped us to survive from whatever we've gone through, whatever we've felt in the past. So we're accepting these parts of ourselves because they have created who we are today. They have saved us ultimately and made us who we are. So at one point we really needed these reactions that maybe now we're feeling ashamed of. But that's just a part of the process. And now we move forward. And when you think about it, when we're helping a friend, a family member, a loved one who's going through something hard, and whether we've gone through that same thing or not, we've all gone through hard things, but the way we usually innately respond to these people that we love, that we care about, is with love, is with care, with compassion, with patience, because we understand they're going through something hard. So it's so easy to automatically respond to someone else like this. So why isn't it easy for us to respond to ourselves with the same amount of care, compassion, patience when we're going through something hard? It's always so much easier to look at somebody else and see they're going through something hard and give them that support, that care. But why is it always so difficult for us to do the same for ourselves? But we reach that level of understanding that, wow, we need to be doing the same thing for ourselves. Have you ever heard this term, reparenting ourselves, where we're slowing down, we're showing ourselves care, we're nurturing our inner child, because usually these wounds are stemming from childhood, where we need to heal that part of our child self, our teenage self, our younger self. So we're showing that care, we're slowing down, and we're learning to self-regulate. That is what I perceive healing as. And like I was saying, I don't think we ever really reach a point where we're fully healed, where this trigger, this wound, this trauma is just zapped out of our memory and it's not there anymore, and it doesn't live in our body, it doesn't live in our mind. I don't believe in that, because still through time, even when we're learning to self-regulate and take control of how we're responding and how we're taking care of ourselves, you'll still realize and you'll still notice that during this whole healing process, this thing called life, it does not end. Despite us taking the power back from our trauma, from our wounds, and taking our choice back, you'll still notice, you'll still run into people, places, things that are still going to trigger us, whether that's triggering us in the same exact way as before, or it's a whole new trigger, whatever it may be, we're still going to run into these things, these people, these places, because they act as a mirror for us, for what's going on internally. Even if someone unintentionally is triggering you, it's a mirror because it's showing you exactly how you're feeling inside. So when we're in a good state of mind internally, someone may do something that once triggered you before, but now instead you feel that emotion very quickly, but you shift out of it. You then make that choice to self-regulate, to find a method that works for you to not avoid the emotions or avoid that trigger, but you feel it for a little bit of time and then you move out of it. That's a conscious choice. Or there's going to be those days where maybe we're not feeling it. We're not having a good time. Life gets hard. That happens all the time. It's up and down always, where we're in that low point where something or someone occurs that triggers us and this wound comes out. It's reactivated again because we just have such little patience at that time for ourselves or for others. So this is what it's all about. We have that conscious choice. We get to decide when we want to use it. when we want to respond or react differently. But it's not going to be a thing that happens consistently. Like, yes, we try to reach that level of consistency, but it never goes away, and we're never feeling the same every single day. So we can't expect ourselves to continue to respond from a healed place or a healed version of ourselves. That's just unrealistic. We're setting ourselves up for failure by setting unrealistic expectations upon ourselves, upon others, upon the environment, just expecting to never run into these triggers or these traumas again, or expecting to respond the same exact way, healed every single time. That's not realistic. That's not real. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. Like, have you ever noticed when you're going through something hard, and maybe it's been a few days, a few weeks where you've been experiencing this hardship and you've been feeling all the emotions, you've been down and you've been low, and then suddenly you have this epiphany within your mind? It could be sudden, it could be something that's happening gradually, whatever it may be, but you have this epiphany where you have a better understanding of your situation and you begin to find light in this hardship. Just this one day where you're ready to shift your mind, your perspective very quickly, and then maybe you wake up the next day and you're still feeling low. It's like that light in the dark, it was there momentarily. It was there for the rest of that day, but then tomorrow you feel that hardship again. That is what I mean about healing, and that our emotions are fluid, because one day we feel on top of the world, or we could be feeling normal, at ease, and then the next day it's completely different. It's not linear, but it is a continuous process. Up and down, but we have to consciously choose to go somewhere in the middle, if that makes sense. And we're not the only factor in this healing process. Obviously, there's us, there's our internal world, but of course there's also the external world beyond us that we have absolutely no control over. No matter how much we want to control everything around us, that is also not possible. Life is very unpredictable. Other people, their thoughts, their emotions, their words, their actions are very unpredictable, and we have absolutely no control over anything or anyone besides the way that we are choosing to respond internally and externally to everything going on around us. No matter how much we want to reach this level of being or feeling fully healed that's constantly being projected onto us on social media that other people are saying, it is not real. It's not the true reality. No matter how much people want to push this narrative, it's not real. So stop trying to force yourself or shame yourself into getting to that level, because it's not the true reality. So people who are expressing this narrative, they're faking it. Just like most things on social media, it's not real. So put the burden down of realizing, wow, these people are doing it. How do I do it? Put that burden down. Just allow things to flow. Allow time. Allow yourself to let go of all these external things, all these attempts at control, and just flow. Allow the emotions to flow. And eventually, with time, with support, both internally and externally, we reach this point of being ready to choose, to make that change. And remember that we can't carry it all on our own. Sometimes there's situations where we get through it alone, but seek support. Find support, whether that's a friend, a family member, a journal, a therapist, whatever it may be for you. It's going to be different through each hardship, each wound, trauma we experience, but seek out support. You don't have to do it all alone. You don't have to do it all in one day, 1 month, 1 year. Things take time. Be patient with yourself. I need to tell myself that too. We need to just be patient. We need to relax and just take everything day by day. And despite this healing journey, this thing called life looking so looking and feeling so very different for each individual during their process, during their life. At times we do reach some of the same understanding around life and healing journey and what we can do better to face ourselves and face the external world around us that's been maybe haunting us for some time because of these wounds, these past experiences that may not have been the best, that have shaped us through time, through practice, through experience, through many highs and lows, through many days. The process starts to become familiar. That recognition occurs within our mind. I've been here before, I've done this before, now I want to choose. So just continue to live your life. Keep practicing what we call healing. Just keep willing yourself to learn and to move forward and to feel. Do not keep avoiding things because they will just store in your body. They will make you sick and they will eventually explode out of you, whether you like it or not. And remember, healing starts with acknowledgement, a certain level of acceptance and understanding. And it is a lifelong process. And for some, that statement alone may sound absolutely terrible, horrifying, and scary. It may sound like the worst thing in the world, realizing that we don't just become healed, but change is possible. Things don't just go away, but we have to take action and continue to make that conscious choice to shift our perspective, shift the narrative, shift our reality, shift how we're feeling. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's reaching this healed state. We all carry some sort of pain, hardship, wounding, these emotions. Even though we're individuals, we are all very similar in nature. We come from one source. We all feel the same emotions, but it's from a different degree, from a different experience, whatever it may be. But we are all very similar. We're all human, okay? We're all souls living a very human experience that is hard. So take everything on social media with a grain of salt. Even me in these videos, I'm preaching these things. I'm not necessarily preaching them. I'm sharing what I've learned along my very own journey, my very own life that's not always easy, can be very difficult, just like everyone else's. So just understand that we have all gone through something terrible, life-changing, earth-shattering, but we all learn to move forward, basically. We all consciously choose to move forward and respond differently until the next thing comes up in our life. That's earth-shattering, that's hard, and that's life. If it were easy, there would be no point. We wouldn't be learning anything. We wouldn't be able to appreciate the good without the bad. Okay, so be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with others because we're all going through something. Okay, so if you can make it lighter for yourself, you can make it lighter for others, and vice versa. All right, I have done enough rambling. I think I've gotten my point across that healing is lifelong. So thank you all for joining me for this video. I hope you liked it. I hope this helped. Maybe one part resonated with you, maybe it doesn't resonate with you at all. That's okay. I'm just sharing my perspective and what I've learned within my very own life and my experiences as a hypnotherapist, as a Reiki master and teacher, as a cognitive therapist. This is just what I've learned and what I've been applying to my own life and helping others apply to their own. If you are seeking support, if you'd like a session, if you just want someone to talk to, you can reach out to me on any of my social media platforms, or you can visit my website where we can schedule a call, a Zoom meeting at DivineMindsCCHt. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye.